Okay, so for those who have been watching my last few videos, you pretty much know what's going on. My PC's dead, I really can't edit videos anymore, so I have a lot of free time, so I'm binge watching anime. I fucking did Turn A Gundam, I did a video about that, and then the next thing on my to-do list was Cardcaptor Sakura. This is much like Turn A Gundam has been like on my to-do list for a very, very long time. I've actually had this box set for, pretty much for, like ever since this box set first came out. I was like, oh man, Cardcaptor Sakura's getting a Blu-ray release, it's getting re-released, it's getting re-released, I gotta own it. So I owned it, and then I watched like a sizable chunk, like a third of it, and then didn't watch the rest. So, I had to, I figured I had this free time, I wanted to go ahead and do that. Also, like there's a new arc of Cardcaptor Sakura coming out at the beginning in January, so I'm really excited about that, and I can't watch that if I haven't finished this. So, what is it exactly about what the fuck is Cardcaptor Sakura? Because I don't know how many people would actually really know what that show is, because it's not exactly like a household name. This isn't exactly like your Dragon Balls and your fucking, even like your Yu Yu Hakusho's. Like, it is a little bit more, I guess, obscure and niche, I guess. And even like amongst like magical girl anime, it's not Sailor Moon or even fucking Madoka Magica or anything like that. But it is considered one of those all-time greats. It's like, considered one of the great classics of the 90s. One of those shows that has like really stood the test of time. The manga was done by Clamp. The anime series was done by Madhouse. So right out of the gate, both from a manga front and an anime front, they're just pedigree across the board. Like one of the most critically acclaimed manga groups of all time. Teaming up with one of the most beloved and acclaimed animation houses of all time. So it's definitely one of those. There's a reason people still talk about this. Now, if you don't know what the fuck Cardcaptor Sakura is at all, the premise is this girl, Sakura, finds a book, she opens it up, inside of it is a card, or a bunch of cards. She pulls the first one out, and the rest of them just kind of spread out everywhere, like a bunch of fucking Shikan jewels or the Dragon Balls, or whatever you want to parallel these with. They spread the fuck out there. And then the series mascot character, Caraberos, shows up to tell her, bitch, you just released the Clo cards. The Clo cards were created by a man named Clo Reed. He was this great, fucking wizard, magician, sorcerer guy. And he imbued these cards with all these different types of magic. And now you have been chosen to be their new master. But to prove to be their new to be worthy of being their master, you need to go and collect them and bring them all back. Also, these cards are sentient, so they're going to kind of run amok. So, bitch, chop chop. And, that's basically your premise right there, is that she now has to collect these cards, and then as she, she battles the cards with her own cards, and as she, collects more cards, obviously her arsenal grows, new characters get introduced, and it adds a few wrinkles. And the show is split up into two arcs. The Clo card arc and the Sakura card arc, and I'll get into the specifics in a bit. But for those who are thinking okay, well, magical girl anime, so what? What makes this specifically different from any other magical girl anime that's out there? Well, in a lot of ways, it does have the same trappings of magical girl anime that you would expect. Plucky girl protagonist. Wearing all kinds of cute outfits. She has a staff, and the things that she says every single episode, accompanied with the animation that you see every single episode when she does her special things. And of course, like a Monster of the Week formula, and that but that's kind of the more surface level elements of the show. What makes it different is all the specifics when you get into the fact that, first off, Sakura doesn't transform. She doesn't have, the magical girl transformation sequence. All of her outfits are made by her best friend, Tomoyo. Tomoyo is just OMG, you're a magical girl, that's fucking awesome. I'm rich as hell, I have all these resources, I'm gonna make you a bunch of cute outfits to just tear ass against all these monsters in. And I'm gonna record it, because you being a magical girl is the coolest shit ever. And I'm gonna be recording this, and I'm gonna make you all these outfits, and it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna be this cool duo, teaming up to collect these cloak cards, even though Tomio doesn't actually do anything other than record and make outfits. But, so that's, like, one of the big differences right there. And because, she doesn't have, like, the magical girl transformation, all of Sakura's physical abilities aren't, like, enhancements given to her by her powers. Those are just her natural abilities. She's established in the show to be naturally athletic, pretty much like the top of her class, or like one of like the best girls in like her gymnastic classes and stuff, and she like all of her like little wand twirls and stuff like that are things that she does for gymnastics and stuff, for like baton twirling and things that she does in school. So she already has like an aptitude at those things. It's not just something that it's a side effect of her powers. And and also even like the Monster of the Week formula, it's not like, oh, there's this big ominous bad guy syndicate that's trying to destroy the world. No, like the bad guys, technically bad guys, because the series doesn't have traditional villains. Like the villain for the first arc are the cloak cards themselves. They run amok, kind of do whatever the fuck they want, and when Sakura senses them, she's able to confront them and battle them. They'll take a physical form for her to confront, and she'll battle them and then seal them away. So there's all these little things that make it different in little ways. Also, even the reuse animation thing that comes up, she does like the incantation for sealing the cards or for summoning cards, and you still have that same animation over and over again, where she'll flip a card out and a magical circle appears, she flings it around, and she hits it with her staff. And even that is unusual for a Magical Girl series, because it changes every episode. Because, it's the exact same motions, movements, everything. But what makes it different is they have to reanimate that every single episode, because every episode Sakura is wearing a different outfit. And even if she's not wearing a different outfit, she's using a different cloak card. So they have to animate a different cloak card. They have to completely, give her a different outfit every single time. And, even what she summons out of the card is something different each time. So yeah, it's never the same. So even the stereotypical magical girl reusing animation thing, usually just to save on budget. Here, it's not even a saving on budget thing. It's just, here's that cool thing that they do in every episode that you're looking forward to seeing. So let's do that again, and it's awesome every time. And it's always, like I said, it's always unique every time, because it's always different to some degree. And I think it has more to do with the fact that this is Madhouse, and Madhouse is just pouring money on fucking shows. And they just have a really talented staff behind them, and they they're just more organized. So Madhouse is always known for having great looking shows and not really cutting corners. And this is a really good example of that, where here's your opportunity to cut corners, the one thing that a Magical Girl series would cut corners on, and they just don't fucking do it. And it's nice. It's really enjoyable. So, those are all the specifics. Now, getting into some of the more broader strokes things, you have the Cloak Card arc, and this to me is a 10 out of 10 arc. Even the filler in this is awesome. And to give you an idea of how much filler there is, in the manga there are 19 Cloak Cards. In the anime there are 52 Cloak Cards. Quite the difference. And this leads to her having to collect way more cards, go through way more situations, way more, I guess, Monster of the Week type scenarios for her. But the stories within those episodes are really good standalone, almost slice of life episodes. there's some sort of problem happening, and And Sakura's trying to resolve that problem, either with her family or her friends, or maybe she's having a personal problem, or maybe just like a problem in general. Maybe they're just out doing something, and like, you know, the cloak card somehow is related to that. And usually, like a lot of, like, you know, what happens with the cloak cards usually is used to, like, sometimes explore characters, give characters specific moments and cool things to do within the show, especially in the filler, because the filler adds in a whole new character, Mei Ling. And Mei Ling, I should probably give you context for some of the other characters before I get into Mei Ling. So in the core series, you know, outside of the filler, you have this kid who shows up. God damn it. His name varies depending on what translation you're reading, because he's a Chinese character with a Chinese name. But if you're reading it in Japanese, his name is read differently. And a lot of translations, a lot of earlier translations, will translate his name as Li Xiaoran. Li Xiaoran. And, but this set specifically opts to go with his Chinese name. Like how his name would be said in Chinese, which is Li Xiaolong. So, yeah, I'm used to seeing his name as Xiaolong. I think it's easier to say than Xiaoran. So, yeah, Xiaolong shows up. And he talks about how he's the descendant of Cloud Reed, and you know he should be the one collecting the cloak cards. So he's kind of being competitive with Sakura, trying to collect the cards. And God damn it, there's a fucking plane going over my goddamn house. Like, I moved away from a fucking Air Force base, and I still have to deal with goddamn jets coming over my goddamn house. Anyhow. Whatever, I can't edit this out, so you're just fucking stuck with it. Thanks for ruining my goddamn video. So yeah, Lee shows up with his fucking declaration of like, I'm gonna fucking, like, you know, get the cloak card. So then you have this rivalry dynamic between Sakura and Xiaolong, and then you have, like I said, the filler character, Mei Ling Li, or Li Mei Ling. And Li Mei Ling is, if you notice the last name, or surname, same as Xiaolong's, she's his cousin. Also his fiance. Don't ask. So yeah, like, she's in love with Xiaolong, and she wants to prove herself useful to Xiaolong. And like, she's just a fascinating character. She's a great character in her own right. And, like, it shocked me to find out that this character was fucking filler. I guess it kind of becomes a little apparent later on when, near the finale of the first arc, she kind of has to leave. But, like, the show doesn't even forget about her, because then she comes back in the second arc for a single episode, which I'll get into when I start getting into more spoilery things. But, so in the first arc, the cloak card arc, it ends how you would kind of expect it to end. Where, like, she captures all of the cloak cards. And then there's this big kind of, like, this is what this all has been building up to. Oh, shit, like, you know, here's, like, your big final challenge. And I won't spoil the specifics, but it's a really cool fucking ending, really satisfying. And even though this arc is filled with filler, the filler is so goddamn good. This is, like, Cyan arc shit, where it's just, like, yeah, there's filler here, but it's good goddamn filler. And this is just like, to me, it's like a 10 out of 10 arc. This arc is so goddamn good. Even for as basic as it is, it's such a good arc. It's so goddamn enjoyable. You know, Madhouse, like, their animation is fucking stellar. The visuals are great. It's well directed. Such a good fucking, you know, first arc. So after Sakura collects the cards, we then move into the Sakura card arc. And this arc, I feel, it is conceptually far more interesting, but it's, like, the way the narrative is delivered is so kind of clunky that I find it, like, I don't think it's as strong as an arc as the first arc, even though, on paper, it's a far more interesting arc because of what's going on. You have this mysterious new motherfucker shows up. Right from the outset, you're pretty sure this motherfucker is the one that's causing shit. And, like, a few episodes in, you find out that he is. And then a few episodes later on, like, within, like, I want to say within the first 5 or 6 episodes, you already got the idea of, okay, this is the guy who's fucking with shit, and he's somehow Chloe Reed. Like they don't really like hide it. Like it takes a few episodes for them to actually reveal, like, oh yeah, this kid, Ariel, Ariel, this new kid Ariel, like, you know, clearly there's some shady shit going on with him. He's the one causing all this trouble, and that he is either Chloe Reed or a reincarnation, or he is somehow linked to Chloe Reed, and that he has like his own little like equivalents to like Sakura's companions with him, specifically her magical companions, because she has Caraberos, and then she gets another one later on that I don't want to spoil. So, what else was I saying? Right. So, yeah, they introduced that, and then they also, at the end of the last arc, Sakura's magical staff changes. It changes its appearance, and the Clo cards no longer work with her staff. And she can't summon the powers of the Clo cards. Basically, the whole concept is that originally, you know, when the cards were under the power of Chloe Reed, they were feeding on his power, and now that Sakura is their master, she cannot just wield the Clo cards anymore. They now have to be converted by her magic into new cards, hence the Sakura cards, which is where the arc gets its name from, the Sakura card arc. And so she has to do that, and then we get kind of this ticking clock where she's realizing, oh shit, like the cards are cold. Why are they, like, because she usually feels like a warmth, like an energy from them. And the longer she's taking, the more time goes by without the Clo cards being used and being converted, they're essentially dying. And they will just fade from existence. And because these things are alive, Sakura is freaking out, and she can't just, convert them all with her powers. Because, one, it's very draining on her. The first time she converts a Clo card into a Sakura card, she ends up having to, like, skip school the next day, I think, because she's just so sick from it. Like, she's sick and she's tired and she can't function. And as the series, or as this arc goes on, she's building up more magical power, and she's able to convert the Clo cards a bit more easily. But also, she can't just convert them, like, all at once, because, one, like I said, it's a huge drain on her, and also because if she does just try transforming them without a purpose, they could react negatively to that and freak out because they don't have a purpose, and the sentient cards will just freak the fuck out and just kind of run amok like they used to, like they did when they were free. So she can't do that either. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this arc, and then there's like this whole subplot with her brother, and like this, like a lot of stuff going on. There's a whole subplot with Lee, who is now he's over the course of the series, he's fallen for Sakura, he's in love with her, and there's so much going on in this fucking arc, and it's a much shorter arc. There's way more going on in it. What's going on in it is far more interesting conceptually than what was going on in the first arc, but because of how it delivers the narrative, it ends up being a sloppier arc, and I ended up not liking it as much, and it's really goddamn frustrating that that's the case. Now, this is where I'm going to start getting into spoilers. Before I do that, though, I do want to say that regardless of the issues that the second arc has, I still easily recommend this show. This is something that I would say everyone should check out. If you were at least remotely open to watching magical girl animes, then yeah, like, especially if you like, like cute shoujo stuff, if you like to see just like an interesting twist on the magical girl genre, this is definitely something worth watching. Like I said, the first arc I think is a 10 out of 10 awesomeness. The second arc, its premise is a 10 out of 10. Its execution is like an 8 out of 10. So across the board, I'd say this show is a 9 out of 10. It is easily worth recommending to people. Now, if you don't want to get spoiled for us, dip out now. If you want to go watch Cardcaptor Sakura for yourself, It is. I think it's on Crunchyroll. It's at least last time I checked, it was on Crunchyroll in the U.S. I can't speak for other countries. Well, I have no clue what the hell they're doing. But if you can find Cardcaptor Sakura to stream or watch or whatever, do it. It is easily worth it. It is such a good goddamn show. Check out Cardcaptor Sakura. Now, to get into my fucking issues with this second arc, because it's all in the specifics here. And that is, there's a lot of repetition in this arc. There's a lot of, like, you know, Lee has feelings for Sakura, but, like, you know, he's like, oh, but I don't know, I don't want to tell her, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot, and it's not too obnoxious. Like I feel like it gets, like, there's certain episodes where I'm just like, oh, God, we're doing this again. And repetition is really, like, the problem with this arc, because, like I said, you know, Sakura gets a second companion. Her companion is Yue, and Yue, his kind of powered down form, his temporary form, as they refer to it, is as her brother Toya's best friend Yukito. So Yukito's been in the show this entire time. And you get revealed, like, oh shit, he's actually Yue, the other fucking guardian of the Clo Cards, along with Kerberos. Like, you know, Kerberos is the sun, and Yue is the moon. And, like, you know, because Sakura doesn't have the power to maintain Yue, Yukito's getting sick, and he's getting weak, and he's dying. And Toya is aware of what's going on, but he hasn't told Sakura, and Sakura's kind of unaware of what's going on. And, like, they're not really telling the audience what's going on either. It's just like, we know Yukito is sick, and we don't really understand why. So there's a lot of keeping things from the audience, and then every time Toya tries to confront Yukito about this, and tell him, like, hey, I know you're not human, blah, 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 and Yukito is unaware about his other self. So there's... And every time Toya tries to tell Yukito what's going on, this girl who was associated with Ariel, the villain of the arc, you know, she jumps in and interrupts, and it causes this really shitty repetition, and like it's like the same fucking gag over and over again. And I got tired of it. And I got tired of seeing it so many episodes in a row. Along with the fucking Li Xiaolong fucking crush thing, and like there's a lot of repetition, but the story at its core is really goddamn good, because there's so many other great things happening here. Like, you know, Lee's relationship and dynamic with Sakura is genuinely interesting and engaging, and even though there's a lot of repetition with the whole, oh my gosh, I have a crush on her, blah 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 stuff, like, that does lead to some really great character moments. The whole Toya, Yukito, Yue dynamic thing that's going on, like, that leads to something really fucking great too, story-wise. And then the big reveal of what Ariel's plan was, because that's another thing, like, you don't know what the hell his thing is. So it really feels throughout most of the goddamn arc, it's just, you know, this Chloe Reed motherfucker is just messing with Sakura, and I don't have context for why, until they do the reveal, and the reveal is really satisfying, and it brings everything full circle. But honestly, I'd rather they had told the audience that up front, because up until that point, I just felt like this guy is fucking with Sakura, and I have no clue why. He doesn't seem like he's trying to kill her. He seems like he has some sort of goal in mind, but I don't know what his goal is, so I don't know why I should even, like, it hurts my investment. So that was my big issue with that. But like I said, everything comes full circle in this really satisfying way, and the ideas at play, the character moments at play, like, even the filler was, like, Mei Ling comes back because Lee had promised that if he ever found somebody he liked more than Mei Ling, because Mei Ling kind of forced him into the fiance thing, and she said that, like, yeah, we'll get married unless you find someone that you love more than me. And so he fucking calls Mei Ling and tell her that he wants to talk to her in person, and she shows up, and he has to tell her that he's in love with Sakura. And she's like, I'm fine. But prior to that, Sakura's best friend Tomoyo was just like, "Hey, Mei Ling, if you ever need anything, just so you know, I'm your friend and you can talk to me." So Mei Ling leaves, and we just get this emotionally devastating scene of Mei Ling just sobbing, crying her eyes out in Tomoyo's lap, and Tomoyo just kind of comforting her in this moment, and it's beautiful and it's heart-wrenching, and like this is a romance between 11-year-olds, and I felt so much pain from watching this girl get her heart broken. And like all of the romance in this series is so well done. Like all the relationship dynamics, because even Sakura's best friend Tomoyo is in love with Sakura, and the series never outright says that, you never get that scene where Tomoyo says that she's in love with Sakura. But this isn't like some queer baiting bullshit where it's just like, oh, maybe they're gay, maybe they're not. No, it's like she is in love with Sakura, but she will never confess her feelings because she just doesn't think that she should. And this actually comes out when she's talking to Li Xiaolong about this. Yeah, she's talking to Xiaolong about it, specifically about sometimes you maybe some feelings shouldn't be said. Sometimes you shouldn't, and it's very clear she's trying to help give trying to give Xiaolong advice, but at the same time it's clearly giving insight into her character of, yes, she has feelings for Sakura. This is why she doesn't tell her, and it's a really beautifully subtle moment. Really great character. Just, oh my god, like I said, even when Cardcaptor Sakura is bad, it is fucking good. So yeah, the second arc, it has its problems, but even with its problems, I still say it's an 8 out of 10. It's still a fucking great arc, or it's a good arc, and the first arc was fucking amazing. It's a great fucking show. Even its tie-in movies are pretty damn good. I would say above average for anime series tie-in films. They're actually written by the head writer of Clamp, so it gives it a little bit more authenticity. And I'm genuinely looking forward to the Clear Card arc, because unlike, say, and I know this is a big surprise coming for me, but unlike Dragon Ball Super, which is clearly just made to sell toys, the Clear Card arc felt like this was a story that the artist had to tell. Like Clamp had an idea for a new storyline of Cardcaptor Sakura, so they went back to Cardcaptor Sakura, and they're making a new arc of that series. And they made a new manga. And then even the anime feels like a legitimate, we're getting the gang back together. Like a lot of the team that worked, the important team members that worked on the original Cardcaptor Sakura are coming back. So we're gonna have, the same, a lot of the same, team that worked on the anime coming back for this new arc. The same voice cast is coming back to reprise their roles. So this feels like a genuine goddamn, a passion project on all fronts. Clamp didn't go back 20 years later, or 15 years later, no, it's over 15 years. So yeah, they didn't go back all these years later, well over, almost 2 decades later, to fucking shill for another Sakura series. Sakura was never, popular enough to really shill like that anyhow. This is clearly, they had a story to tell. They want to tell it. They're telling their story. And now this team that put so much passion into this original series are like, fuck yeah, we're doing another goddamn Sakura series, and they're coming back, and I'm really fucking excited. So yeah, go watch Cardcaptor Sakura. Must fucking see. And go fucking see the Clear Card arc when it comes out. I know I'm gonna be watching it. I'll probably do a video about that when it's finished. So fucking hyped. Till next time, Xeon out.